welcome back everyone. We're here in the pro shop again today, and again, having just installed some new string and cables on my bow, just started to work a few shots and get it broken in. The topic comes up of, now that I've got a backup set of string and cables for this bow that are, for the most part, broken in and are a good backup, good fail-safe, what are the possibilities that could happen while in the field, whether you're talking about 3D shooting, hunting, or a combination, whatever it is, where you might need a backup bow or will backup equipment suffice? And I kind of want to take it from a couple different scenarios. And the first one being, if this is a new bow, or you've got a new bow and maybe you've had that bow for a while, a year, 2 years, what have you, and you've upgraded accessories over time. Maybe you just went away from a certain site and now you upgraded to the new fancy bells and whistles top end sight that you have now on your setup. So let's just say you've got a couple backup pieces of equipment, accessories that you could still put back on your bow in the event that you need it. When you start looking at the cost side of things, a bow, any new bow is going to be a significant investment. Some of the higher end bows, this bow specifically, I'm probably in that $2,600 to $2,800 retail on this bow price wise, right? So to think that someone's just going to go drop this kind of money and then also have potentially the thought of buying another bow as a backup bow, that's a huge investment and not likely to be the case for most people. So option that we're talking about again, I've just invested money and this is my only bow right now. What are some of the things that could happen in the field that you may need a backup? So one of the main ones is just having some kind of damage to string and cables, whether it's a broadhead slice, you drop the bow on something and it tears a couple strands on your string. Maybe you've got some serving separation to where it's starting to come unraveled. Most oftentimes you'll see that by the D-loop. End serving sometimes happens as well, but center serving is usually where you'll see some damage. And if that center serving starts to come unraveled, your number one point of contact, your only point of contact with your arrow to your bow is in that D-loop location. So to think that's not critical, it's huge. It's very, very critical. So string and cables, you have that backup set that we've talked about. If you keep this and you follow the plan that many of us do. This is not my idea, right? This is something that many people have done for many years, is keeping a backup set of string and cables with you that match the bow that are broken in. You have that ability to go back and whether you can do it yourself or get to any pro shop, any sporting goods store that has a bow press and get those swapped out. So those very common, situations that happen in the field with torn strings or what have you, center serving coming loose, that's taken care of just by having a backup set of string and cables. The other thing that we've seen every once in a while is somebody will drop their bow or, in and out of a case, or we even see bows get ran over. I can see how it happens. You get out of your vehicle, you set it next to the tire on the vehicle, and somebody's dropping somebody off, and then all of a sudden they take off, and, whatever. It happens. So, having a backup sight is awesome, because the same thing is, if you've taken the time and maybe you've had this sighted in on that bow before you put the new sight in, best case scenario obviously, but worst case, you got a new sight you can bolt on, spend a few minutes, and again, if you can at least get, if you've got a multiple pin sight like this, if you can get 2 or 3 of the pins sighted in, well, you're hunting again. You may not be in that 50 to 70 yard range, like effective range, like you're capable of. But if you're in 40 yards and in, you're hunting. You're not out of the game. So having a couple accessories will take care of most situations. The other one that, I'm a huge fan of the Hamskea products. I've shot them since they came out. And Hamskea is a supporter of the Alpha Bow Hunting Challenges. So this is, we use the products, we support the products because we believe in the products. And they're a great company to work with. And I feel they're the best rests on the market. However, I always keep a whisker biscuit in my pack, because even though I usually run a backup bow, I've been hunting with other people in the past to where their rest has failed on them when we're at maybe midday, shooting some arrows, hanging back, taking a break, and their rest failed for some reason, and they don't have an option. And I always keep that backup whisker biscuit in my repair kit, because if I can take their rest off and put that back on a bow, and again, get them sighted back in 20, 30 yards, they're back in the game, you know. Is broadhead flight going to be perfect? Probably not. Is everything going to be optimal? Probably not. But if it's functional to where you're accurate and ethical in that, you know, first third of your effective range, then, you know, you're back in the game. So can you get by without a backup bow? 100%. Let's get into the topic of having a backup bow. So now maybe you just, you know, you upgraded, so you have your old bow still. Obviously, leaving it set up would be key, so that way you're not having to take parts and pieces off of your main bow to get your backup bow set up in the event you needed it. So having it set up is key. Second to this is the biggest probably point that I'm gonna try to make in this video when it comes to a backup bow. I'm guilty of this myself, so just so you know, this is not something that I'm pointing the finger at anybody. This is my mistake, so that way you all know where I'm coming from with this. Having a backup bow is great. Having it set up with its own arrows, sight, whatever, all ready to go is great. If you don't pick that bow up and shoot it, you're probably going to be back into that boat of, you know, yeah, it's going to be functional. Maybe in, you know, your first half of your effective range is realistic, but to think that you're going to mesh and you're going to have everything, you know, in sync, the feel, I mean, unless it's the same bow, the same model bow, or very similar. And in my case, usually what I'm doing is, in some cases, I'll have last year's bow as my backup. So, you know, an RX5 to an RX7, similar in spec, similar in feel, grip's a little bit different. Poundage is going to be a little bit different. Holding weight's going to be different. So there's going to be some moving parts there to where you should consider, I need to be shooting this backup bow at least once every couple weeks, you know, staying familiar with it, so that way if you need it in the field, you have it. One last topic I want to bring up is sometimes, and this has been me the last few years as well, I've had two bow builds set up. One with a little lighter weight arrow, a little faster, you know, whether it's for a certain species that I'm chasing with that bow, and a second bow that I'm going to be doing primarily elk or mule deer or other species with a heavier build, a little bit more kinetic energy momentum. Those are great options, right? It's awesome to be able to do that, and if your budget allows that, it's great to be able to, again, just to have that in your arsenal, in your toolkit. However, I've always been of the opinion that as personal as a bow is to you, you can take the exact same model bow in the exact same poundage, in the exact same settings everywhere. They may not feel perfectly the same, right? There's going to be a little variation to where something feels a little bit differently. And where I really kind of started realizing this was when I was shooting a lot of target archery, because I talked to people that have 2 or 3 and 4 bows of the identical bow model set up, and they would not feel the same from one to the other. It was something just not quite the same. So just know that if you're going to consider a backup bow, if it's possible, try to keep in the similar specs if you can. Obviously budget being the primary factor here, but if you have the ability and finances allow you to do that, like I said, in my case, having an RX5 Ultra to back up my RX7 Ultra is really a great option, because they're very similar. This new bow has a little different feel on the shot, which I really like, but that RX5 was a great shooting bow, and it still is a great shooting bow. So it is an awesome plan B to have. Now I'm going to be dabbling with the Ventum Pro a little bit. I don't know if I'm going to set one of these up yet, but I really like to feel this bow, and I had a Ventum 33 last year, so I may consider building a bow like that and shooting it and getting it set up to see if that is going to be my backup bow, or my, you know, pronghorn, whitetail type of setup for some hunts that I'm going to be going on, you know, a turkey. Just having a backup bow that's different in the specs category. But anyway, nonetheless, backup bows, can you get by without a backup bow? Yes, you can. If you have a backup bow, practice with it. Just like I said, even if it's once a month or twice a month, practice with it. I've been in a situation before where I've had to consider going to my backup bow because I had something happen on my primary, and I chose to not do that, lose a day from hunting to get my primary bow back in the works, because I did not spend the time practicing with the backup bow. Now, could I have done that? Yeah, I could have. But again, it was a lighter weight arrow setup. I was hunting elk. I didn't want to go after elk with a lighter setup, and I was just so confident with the way that my primary bow was shooting at the time that I felt that the loss of time and the repair of the string that I needed to do, it was beneficial to just do that. And like I said, so I had to come off the mountain to do that. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. It's a little, again, philosophy based, maybe just opinion based. You know, we're going to get a little bit more into the technical side of things with some quivers coming up here, and in addition, some more release reviews because I got some new releases coming in. But this one, it just felt like it's an important topic to touch on because it's a very real thing and concept that people have to think about when they're in the field. If you put all your eggs in one basket and that basket gets ran over by a truck, or you know, you drop it down a cliff and it gets damaged, cam's bent, whatever, or you don't have a backup option, things to consider. So anyway, hope you're enjoying the content. We're going to keep giving you consistent content. We've been working on twice a week here since the last few weeks, so I'm going to keep pushing for that. I've got videos in the bank, so these ones are going to be coming out regularly. In addition to that, I've got my whitetail hunt from Kansas coming up here soon, putting the finishing touches on that video as well. So look for that video as well coming up. And if you're enjoying it, like and subscribe. Otherwise, leave a comment. Let me know what you think about your backup setup, and we'll see you on the next one. This show is brought to you by Maven Optics. Head over to mavenbuilt.com, check out their full selection of gear and optics, and when you're getting ready to check out, make sure you enter the promo code ALPHAGIFT in full caps. Once again, that's ALPHAGIFT in full caps, and they're going to throw you in a free bonus gift with your next purchase of any set of optics. Now, back to the show.